Hello and welcome to the Pretty Good Gaming Daily Triple, your no shit gaming news video. That's 3 news stories in one video with zero faff. Online multiplayer games can be a great way to have fun in your downtime, especially if you've got some buddies to join you. The problem is that an individual player is not enough to keep these games running, meaning that if not enough people are playing a game, it may cease to exist entirely. We've seen that happen with several games like Drive Club recently, which had its multiplayer servers shut down. Disintegration, which launched back in June, is suffering the same fate and is losing its multiplayer servers in November, just 5 months after release. The game launched on PS4, Xbox One and PC, but received middling reviews in the 60s on Metacritic and was widely criticized for a lack of depth. It's a sci-fi genre mashup of an FPS crossed with an RTS that failed to live up to its interesting premise with critics and users. Developer V1 Interactive and publisher Private Division explained the reason for disintegrating Disintegration in a blog post. "We have made the difficult decision to remove Disintegration's multiplayer modes from the game across all platforms. This will be done in phases over the coming months, starting today with the removal of the in-game store and will conclude on November 17th. With the full removal of multiplayer. The single-player campaign will remain fully playable moving forward. Keeping the single-player campaign is at least something, but this is the issue with games that are mainly built for multiplayer. If the player base isn't there, and therefore the game isn't making money because it is a business, there's just no point in keeping the servers open as it's just burning cash. This leaves everyone who does genuinely like the game, and those who spent money on it and bought microtransactions, left with nothing to show for it." The statement continued, "From both the development team at V1 Interactive and publishing group at Private Division, we stand by the creative risks taken to launch such a unique, genre-bending game created by a small but talented and passionate team. While our player base showed interest in the single-player campaign, the game unfortunately struggled to build a significant audience necessary for a compelling multiplayer experience. After weighing options, we have collectively made the decision to sunset the multiplayer support. The single-player mode seems to be one of the highlights of the game based on a few reviews, so perhaps this is where the devs should have focused their efforts, or is that just my pro-single-player bias? The game was directed by Marcus Leto, co-creator of the Halo series. Halo was such a massive success because of how well it did both single-player and multiplayer content, rather than just putting too much weight on one side. The concept of a game set in a sci-fi world on the brink of extinction where human consciousness is placed into machines is a winning premise for any sci-fi fan, but clearly the execution wasn't good enough. Finally, the statement concluded by saying, "We believe the games industry needs constant innovation and we will continue to take risks, follow creative visions, and support new ideas. To everyone who has played Disintegration, we thank you."
So long and thanks for all the fish. So sad that it should come to this.
It's always a shame to see multiplayer servers get shut down, as it always screws over the loyal fans and the people who actually like the game, and I always feel bad for the developers who slaved away on games like this only for their work to be wasted. The single player mode will still be playable, but now the game is literally a less complete product. Shutting down the servers just 5 months after the release of a game has to be some kind of record, right? Judging by some comments in this story, many people didn't even know the game was out, so I'm left wondering if it was really a loss. According to Steam charts, the game's all-time player count was just 539 and averaged just 3.5 players in the last 30 days. It sucks for people who own the game, but clearly no one likes it enough to keep playing it anyway. If people want to keep it alive, people have to play the damn thing, but it doesn't look like that's been happening. Disintegration took a risk by making a new IP with a blend of genres, and while it ultimately didn't pay off, I'm still glad there are some devs trying new things. In a world where games like Fortnite are constantly redefining the online space, there's even less room for failure than ever before. It's a real shame for the devs and the people who enjoyed this game, but if people aren't playing it, what more can you really do? And next up, with much of the world losing their shit about the PS5 showcase as pre-orders become the new world currency, Nintendo has been casually doing its own mini direct. The stream came in at a fairly short 15 minutes and showed off a number of new games and older titles which are now making their way to the Switch. First up was Monster Hunter Rise, which comes to the Switch seemingly exclusively. There's nothing yet that explicitly says that it's a Switch exclusive, but there's been no mention of other platforms. The game looks very much like traditional Monster Hunter with big weapons and even bigger beasties in a free roam world with up to 4-player co-op. You can even get a rideable dog, so that's a game of the year right there. The game launches on the 26th of March 2021, but that wasn't the end of Monster Hunter in this direct. Rise was followed by a sequel to the spin-off Stories series, Monster Hunter Stories 2: Wings of Ruin. The original Monster Hunter Stories launched for Nintendo 3DS in 2016 and took a turn-based approach with more anime-inspired visuals. This one will be coming in summer 2021, but we don't really know much else about the title at the moment. After 2 Monster Hunter titles, the stream slowed down for a bit to show off Fitness Boxing 2: Rhythm and Exercise. franchise. The game launches on December the 4th and tasks players with punching in time with the beat to various songs. Up next was Disgaea 6 Defiance of Destiny, which is due for release in summer 2021. Disgaea is a tactical RPG series known for extremely high stats-based gameplay with colourful, zany characters. On top of Disgaea 6 coming to Switch, the previous game in the series, Disgaea 5 Complete, is also available for free for a limited time to Nintendo Online subscribers. The trial will run from the 23rd of September at 10 AM Pacific Daylight Time, which is 6 PM in the UK, to the 29th of September at 11:59 PM, which is 7:59 AM on the 30th here in the UK. Next came the 1920s noir turn-based tactical strategy game Empire of Sin, which is dancing its way to the Switch alongside PS4, Xbox One, and PC this December the 1st, which just so happens to be my birthday. The game puts you in the heart of the criminal underworld of Prohibition-era Chicago and is developed by Romero Games, which is run by the husband and wife team, Brenda and John Romero. I've had my eye on this one for a while, and John Romero is an icon of the games industry, having helped create genre-defining games like Doom, Quake, and Wolfenstein. Next up in a string of smaller announcements was Sniper Elite 4, which came out for PC, Xbox One, and PS4 in 2017, but now comes to Switch this holiday season. 2017's winter survival game The Long Dark by Hinterland Studios is available on Switch right now. The golf game PGA Tour 2K21 comes to Switch later this month on September the 25th. The Greek mythology roguelike action RPG Hades by Supergiant Games is available on Switch right now, in addition to Xbox One, PC, and PS4. From the minds behind the original Sonic the Hedgehog and the really weird Nights into Dreams comes the strange 3D platformer Balan Wonderworld, which launches on Switch and everything else on March 26th, 2021. The farming/monster-slaying fantasy RPG Rune Factory 5 arrives on Switch in 2021, and the final announcement of the Direct was Ori and the Will of the Wisps is available on Switch right now with a fancy physical collector's edition after launching on Xbox One and PC earlier this year. And finally, Rayman is one of gaming's classic franchises, but it has been somewhat neglected in recent years. Michel Ancel, the original creator of the Rayman series, has now officially left the games industry after a 30-year career. He announced this on his Instagram page and explains that he's going to fully focus on his second passion, wildlife. After opening his post by saying that the fox in the video has many things to teach Sam Fisher, he explained, "My new project takes place in the real world and consists of a wildlife open sanctuary dedicated to education, nature lovers, and wild animals. This guy can form a successful career in the games industry and create one of the most iconic franchises and character of all time, and then go on to work in a wildlife sanctuary, but I can barely get up in the morning." He also created the Beyond Good and Evil franchise and was working on the highly ambitious sequel, but Ubisoft says development has been continuing without him for some time. It is a shame to see such a significant figure leave the industry, but it's great to see him spending his time working on something that is much more important than just video games. And that's it for today. If you enjoyed this no shit format, go ahead and give the video a like to give it a boost, hit subscribe and the bell if you want to stay up to date on all future installments, toss a coin to your YouTuber over at patreon.com/prettygoodgaming. That's all for today. I've been Henry Cooper. Bye for now.